ज़रूर सबको प्रभावित किया होगा। मैं अभी I request Mr. Kalanidhi.
Sir, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak on the motion of thanks on the President's address, sir. Sir, we all know that it is customary that a President's address, though delivered by the Honorable President, it is basically the government's policy which is being written by the government, and it is only through her that the government's policy is expressed, sir. Why I say that is, to add more evidence to that, our Honorable President, being a scheduled tribe person, has not been able to mention even a single word about the horrors which had happened in the northeast state, sir. And if she had been given an opportunity, I'm sure that she would have been wanting to say at least a word of consolation or a word of confidence to the local people over there. It is sad that this government did not give her an opportunity to even add a single word or a single line in that, to at least console the people of that region, to make them feel that we are also a part of this country and we are not alienated from this country, sir. Sir, having clarified that, the budget speech, the President's address had a lot of points about development and growth and GDP, sir. Sir, this government has consistently been comparing itself to what has happened in the last 10 years and to the previous 10 years prior to that. So if you look at India, India is a very culturally rich and it has a very long heritage, sir. Sir, if you look at even during the Mughal period, India was considered as one of the richest nations, accounting for something like 25 to 30% of the world's GDP. But subsequently, after the British rule, systematically the wealth of India had been siphoned off, where the GDP of India came to around 1 or 2% of the world GDP. So having had our independence in 1947, the next 44 years, we had very primitive ways of looking at economy, and those days it was a period of nascent stage where we had to make sure that this freedom, what we had achieved in a peaceful way by our great leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru and even Subhash Chandra Bose, with all their efforts, we were able to achieve a freedom, but many countries were saying that India will not remain a free nation and soon it will be disintegrated and collapse. But despite that, the initial few decades, for the next 40 years, nation building was the primary motive. And during that period, we also had to go through making sure that we have enough agricultural produce, enough milk produce. So we had the Green Revolution, White Revolution, everything happening. It was only in 1991 to 96 when Honorable Prime Minister, then Prime Minister, Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao, was the Prime Minister, and our Finance Minister was our former Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh. During this period, that the economy of the country was opened up. And from then, if you see the growth of India, it has gone in a very successful and very commendable way, sir. If you look at the decadal growth from 1994, in 1994, our GDP was about $300 billion, sir. In 2004, we had touched $700 billion. So that is about 130% of growth, which means 13% annually. That was the growth which happened during the 10 years, sir. Subsequently, between 2004 to 2014, it was around $700 billion. It went up to $2.1 trillion, sir. It was a very impressive 18% annual growth, sir. It was 180% growth during that period. But if you look at what happened between 2014 and 2024, what was $2.1 trillion has only reached $3.3 trillion. I agree that there were big challenges like the pandemic, and there was a war which happened between Ukraine and Russia, which set back the whole world. But despite that, our growth could have been a little bit more promising, sir, that the growth which has happened in the last 10 years is only about 60%, which is annually about 6%, sir. And in the speech, the President had mentioned that the inflation, which was 8% during the 2004 to 2014, has been controlled and it's brought down to 5%. The inflation is 5% now. But you also have to understand that whenever there was such huge growth happening, this inflation also is bound to be higher. And also, this government, they had mentioned that we have elevated 25 crore people out of poverty, sir. I congratulate the government on this. But having said that, in the same note, they also say that 80 crore people have been provided free food. So 80 crore people is about 57% of the total population, sir. So if you're saying that 80 crore people had to be fed during the pandemic, that is understandable. But saying that now that the pandemic is over and we have recovered from it and we are back to normal, saying that we are going to be continuing it for another 5 years, I find it paradoxical, contradictory, saying that you have eliminated poverty, but at the same time you are saying 80 crore people can't afford to buy their own food. So if this is the state of affairs, I really wonder which statement I should take it as the true one. And also, we are talking about, when we are talking about the Citizenship Amendment Act, sir. So we were talking about Citizenship Amendment Act. It is restricted only to 3 countries, sir. As our parliamentary floor leader, Mr. T.R. Balu, had also mentioned. We have sadly forsaken the Sri Lankan Tamils, sir. There are more than 1 lakh Tamils who are there in India for more than 40 years, sir. From 1983, these people have been here, where they have had children over here, and none of them are given any of the facilities of this country, and we have kept them as refugees for the past 40 years. They have been denied certain educational
Citizenship
opportunities.
Act,
I'm sorry, sir?
the Citizenship Amendment Act
Yes, sir.
was more on religious persecution.
Sir, this persecution was also on religious and linguistic, sir. You have to understand that Buddhism was the main religion in Sri Lanka, and they had also said that non-Sinhalese speaking people should not be staying here, and I am sure that you will be aware of the horrors that they went through, sir. In 1983, in the Black July, the number of people who were murdered, tortured, and even subsequently the horrors which have befallen them, it makes me shudder to even think about that, sir. Because when I was studying in 10th standard, this happened. And I remember that as a 10th standard student, it was announced as a public holiday on the day these horrors happened. And usually when we are kids, we enjoy every day whenever there is holiday. But on that day, every classmate of mine, we all had tears listening to the horror stories which had been perpetrated on the Tamils in Sri Lanka, sir. So I request this government to ensure that a suitable amendment be made where all these people, that 1 lakh people who are here, they are all living in camps over here, sir. That they all be considered and citizenship be given. Sir, 2 prime ministers had signed an accord, sir. Former Prime Minister Madam Indira Gandhi and Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, both of them have signed an accord saying that citizenship will be given, and they have been deprived of that, and they have been living in very, very pathetic conditions, despite our Tamil Nadu government trying to do the best for their relief, sir. Sir, also this government had come out with announcement saying that girls' marriage age should be fixed at 21. Sir, I probably think it is a commendable decision, sir, because that would reduce the incidence of maternal mortality and infant mortality, all those things. But having said that, we have to understand that children are going to be finishing their +2 at the age of 17. So for the next 4 years, what are the parents going to be doing with the girls? So taking this into consideration, our Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has brought in a new system, a scheme, where any student, a girl student, who finishes her +2, and if she goes to college, she is incentivized where she is given every month 1,000 rupees, sir. This will encourage more and more women to go in for graduation. So I hope that the government, while having this kind of a law saying that marriage age is at 21 for ladies, I think they should also consider giving some kind of incentives so that these girls will be able to do something purposeful and be able to educate themselves so that even employment opportunities will be better for them, sir. So similarly, in Tamil Nadu has been a forerunner in many of the schemes, sir. If you look at the noon meal scheme, it was initially started by our great leader, Mr. Kamaraj, and subsequently it has been refined and made better. So this noon meal scheme has ensured that malnutrition among children is reduced. But despite that, we found that people were going to schools only during the lunchtime because the parents will say that lunch is being served at 12:30, so you go there at 12 o'clock. So to overcome that and also to ensure that adequate nutrition is provided, breakfast scheme for school children in the primary schools, up to 5th standard. So I think this government...
Midday meal started from Tamil Nadu.
Midday meal started from Tamil Nadu, so yes, I am aware of that. I told you that Kamaraj was the first person who had started it. So having been a forerunner on this midday meal scheme, I would request that the government consider a similar program for a breakfast scheme also for children. This will ensure that students spend at least 3 to 4 hours in the school, sir, so that people don't come only during the noon time and have their lunch and go. So this will also increase if you see a lot of schools, their mathematics skills and all those things are not up to the mark. This is what a study has shown. So if this is implemented, I'm sure that it will help in these people getting into schools also, sir. And this government also claims that they are giving so much of importance for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and OBC students for their education. But sadly, 4 days back, UGC, University Grants Commission, they had come out with a circular saying that reservation of SC, ST, and OBC can be left alone if adequate number of students have not joined this. So that was a news which had come, sir. I don't know if it is true or false, but I feel that this should not be implemented, and it should be the government's decision to ensure.
To clarify.
चेयरमैन सर, वो जो न्यूज़ जिसका यूजीसी के चेयरमैन की जगदीश कुमार जी का नाम लेकर के कह रहे हैं, उसके बाद हमारे शिक्षा मंत्री धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी ने एकदम क्लियर किया है कि जो SC, ST, OBC के लिए सीटें रिजर्व होगी, उसको कोई डी रिजर्व नहीं कर सकता, क्लियर किया है।
Who got a response from the government during this debate.
I thank the minister for it, sir, and I thank you for getting it clarified even as I was speaking, sir. So as long as the news is false, I am very happy, sir. I'm sure that everybody in the country would be very happy with that decision. Sir, also in Tamil Nadu, we have also implemented a scheme where BPL families, these families will be provided with 1,000 rupees per month for bringing them out of their poverty, sir. So when we talk about BPL, the initial criteria for deciding on which family is below poverty line family, it was economic consideration, sir. It said that any person earning less than 27,000 rupees per annum, so which amounts to less than 2,500 rupees per month, these are BPL. But now they have come out with a new system where they call it as multi-dimensional poverty index or whatever. So we don't know what criteria they are using. They are using health, education, and stuff like that, sir. Sir, also in Tamil Nadu, we have implemented a scheme where women can travel free by bus. So this will incentivize women where they'll be able to have more savings. This government speaks about farmers' welfare, women's welfare. I feel that bringing targeted policies like this will definitely help these women in empowering themselves and making sure that they are also economically better off, sir. Sir, 2 minutes, sir. Sir, when coming to the micro, small and medium enterprises, sir, there are 6.34 crore MSMEs, sir. Of this, 6.3 crore are micro enterprises, sir, which means that their investment is less than 1 crore. And I request that the government have a separate ministry for this micro industries, sir, because 98% of the MSMEs are only micro industries, and most of these are proprietorship concerns. So this government has given a tax rebate for corporates where they have reduced tax from 30% to 23%, whereas these proprietorships where they are micro industries, they end up still paying 30% when they earn more than 15 lakhs, sir, because they have a turnover of up to 5 crores. Sir, regarding the infrastructure, everybody is talking about infrastructure, but I have to say that India has still got a long way to go when it comes to infrastructure, sir. We need a huge dedicated rail network for cargos, sir. We don't have that. And the existing infrastructure is so poor that the number of accidents is actually alarming, and I feel that when we are comparing ourselves with the rest of the countries and saying that we are very great, we have to also see that countries like Japan, they have had high-speed rails where not a single incident of any casualty has ever been recorded in the last, say, about 50 years, sir. So when we have to take lessons from those kind of countries to see how best we can improve ourselves, sir. And also inland waterways, the government has a proposal where 6 lakh crores was to be invested in development of inland waterways, the national waterways, sir. Especially in Tamil Nadu and Andhra connecting National Waterways 4, despite repeatedly asking the Inland Waterways Authority, we have not been able to get any kind of response about whether even a DPR is made available, sir. So I request this government to ensure that inland waterways are also developed. And when it comes to medical colleges, everybody was talking about how all the medical colleges has improved in the last 10 years. I congratulate the government on this. But sadly, in Tamil Nadu, in Madurai, for the last 5 years, this AIIMS college has not been constructed. Other colleges which were announced at the same time have all commissioned and they have started functioning where students are studying, patients are being benefited, sir. But here, the students are being sent to Ramanathapuram Government Medical College. And it is very sad that the first few batches of students are going to be passing out as AIIMS doctors without ever stepping into a AIIMS hospital ever in their life, sir. It is very sad, and I also would wonder what happens to the remaining students who are studying in the same college. There are 100 students who are already studying over there, whether they also will be considered as AIIMS students. Sir, regarding the sports, the development of sports in this country, we are very proud to see that more than 100 medals have been won in Paralympic Games and Asian Games and all those events, sir. But if you see the allotment which is being made for the states for the development, 600 crores has been spent on Gujarat, sir. Whereas Haryana, which is the state which has bagged the maximum number of medals, a measly 60 crores is what was given to them. And Tamil Nadu, of course, you know that it would have been much, much lesser than that. So I request that this government identify talent and see how best these states are developing in sports, depending on the number of people who are getting medals, and accordingly allocate funds to ensure that the right things are done, sir. So similarly, the government has had a policy about Kendra Vidyalaya schools, sir. Kendra Vidyalaya schools were at one point in time opened in railway land, but now the railways have come out with land guidelines which makes it impossible for railway lands to be utilized by Kendra Vidyalaya schools. For the last 3 years, I have approached both the railway minister and the HRD minister, and I have not been able to resolve this, and I hope that through you that request be placed where in my constituency of North Chennai, Kendriya Vidyalaya school be started, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shri Muhammad Bashir.
Sir, thank you very much.